Hi there, this is Catherine. Today I'm going to show you how to make these paper hang tags. They measure 1 inch by 4 inch and they're great for pricing your clothing, your handmade clothing, or accessories. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to get started. So here we have the files for the tags. So these measure 1 inch by 4 inch, and you can either visit my Etsy shop and you can download the files there, or you can, of course, just make them yourself with whatever software you're using. It's pretty straightforward. So if you do go to my shop, then you're going to find two different files. Uh, there's this one here that's called hand cut. So this one is you just print it out, and then it's for people who prefer to uh, just use like an X-Acto knife or a paper cutter just to cut it out by hand. And I recommend this one just because you'll get more tags, and it's such a simple design that you really don't need to fuss around with your cutting machine. But if you do like using your cutting machine for everything, and and you do have a cutting machine, like for example a Silhouette or a Cricut, then you can also use the cutting machine file. So this one includes the perforated area here, so you can turn that off or turn it on. And you can also turn off the price area too. And so this one will cut out the holes and the perforated edges as well. So that's a nice little extra. And but today we'll just be working with the hand cut ones. So the first step is to download the files or to make them yourself. And also, if you've been watching this far, make sure to subscribe to my channel. So hit the subscribe button, and I'll be putting out content every week. And so here you can see the different layers. We'll just start at the beginning. So we have the first layer here, which is the cut layer. So you see that it's just right down the middle and then right across the edge. And then the next layer is the little rectangle boundary. So this is the area that I recommend for putting your logo in. It's just a guide. Once you put your logo here, then you're going to want to turn it off and not print it. And then the next layer is the little price symbol if you want to add a pre-printed price symbol to your tags. So then once you have this on your computer in your software, the next step is to add your logo. So if you already got one on your computer, then you go to File and Place, and then you just add your logo. But I've gone ahead and I've already added just a generic text logo. So what you want to do, I'm just going to zoom in. So I'm on a PC, so the shortcut's Control plus, and then plus plus plus. And then, so you're going to just want to use the rectangle as a guide, but you can always just ignore that if you prefer. And then just kind of set it up. You could just eyeball it and put it in the center. So I'm going to zoom out now. So Control 0. So then once you have your logo in place and you're happy with how it looks, you turn off the boundary box, and then you're left with the cut area and everything that you're going to print. So the next step is I recommend you turn everything off and unlock the print border. So it depends on what the next step depends on what color paper you have. So right now, as you can see, it's set to a black border with a white fill. So I'm going to make it with no fill. And for example, if you're printing on white paper, then you want the line to be as light as possible so that it prints as lightly as possible, and when you cut it, you won't see it. And I'll just set it to, I'm going to say 0.15 points. I've always liked that as a width. I find it prints, so when this prints, you'll be able to see it, so you can line it up with your ruler or your cutting machine, and then you can cut it out. If you're using a darker paper, like for example a brown craft, then what I find works really well is more of a charcoal, because you want the color to stand out a little bit more. So I'd recommend that for a brown craft. So about 1/3, so about like around 1/3 up for brown craft and 2/3 up for white or ivory paper. So now we're all set up to print. So now we're going to turn on all the layers that we want to print. So that includes the logo, the print border, and the number sign. So now you're all set up. So now you go to File and Print. Just waiting. And now you select your printer. I'm using an Epson inkjet. There's just a bit of a delay with my computer today. So now you go to Preferences and you want to select Best Photo Quality so that you have all the details shown in your logo. So the document size is for letter paper, so make sure your media size is set to letter. I have it at do not scale, so it will print 1 inch by 4 inch, but if you want to, you can adjust it to your taste. I'm going to leave it at do not scale. And then you just push print, and then the document is sent to your printer. So here I just printed off the paper tags. I printed off one onto ivory cardstock, 110 cardstock, 110 white cardstock, and some 18-point brown craft. So this one's a little bit thicker. And so I get, these are the 3 colors I usually use just because they're neutrals, and I just find they go with everything. You can print color or black and white, and you can see the guides. See, that's pretty much the tone you're looking for. You want it to be just light enough to see, but when you cut through the paper, it just kind of will hopefully disappear into the cut so that you don't have to go back and trim any of the tags. So the next step is, if you're perforating them, I'm using this device here. I got it at Staples. It has a thing here. You can choose perforated or scoring or whatever. And so now this I just eyeball as well. So I usually leave about 2 millimeters of space between the ruler and so that's the first step, is to perforate it. And then I'm just going to put this out of the way. And then the next step is to cut it. So I use this paper slicer. I also got it at Staples. It's a really great investment. I can't remember how much I paid. Probably, geez, I think over 50, but which is cheap, but it's well worth it. I've had it for a while now, and it's really streamlines any paper crafting I do. So the first step is I'm going to cut, hopefully you can see it, the top edge off. So just lining that up, top to bottom, and then turn the paper around to trim the bottom edge. Now the next step is to line the middle up. So right here, top to bottom, and then we're going to slice down the center. And then, just because of the way my printer goes, I always get one side that's a little bit longer. So I know that these two sides are the same, so I'm just going to line them up and then follow the overhang. So now I have 2 strips of labels or tags that are the same. So now we're going to cut the strips out. So you just want to follow the line top to bottom, lining it up with your cutting device. So if you've been watching the video so far, make sure to subscribe. I'll be putting out new content every week. And leave a comment below if you have any questions about where I get any of the products, or how to, if you use different software, if you have any questions. So then you just keep going until you have all your tags cut out. There you go. So these are great. So they're perforated, printed, they have a price area, and now you just need to punch the hole. So once you've cut out the paper tags, the next step is just to punch the holes. So I usually just eyeball this. What I try to do is I just take a look at where the center of the punch is, and then I just try to imagine a square, and I just punch into the middle of the square. So you just want to do that with the tags. And this punch is a little bit bigger than a standard punch. I'll include a link to the supplies that I'm using. I got these on Amazon. It was a 3-pack. And so after you've got all these tags done, I'm just going to get these out of the way, then you can either leave them how they are, or you can add some hole reinforcements, and these add a really nice touch. So you can also find the template for these on my Etsy shop as well. So you just center them as best you can. As you can see, this hole punch, it's a little bit larger than a standard hole punch. So it does have a little bit of a little sticker, but it's never caused any problems. But you could just use a standard hole punch. And so I would recommend the standard hole punch for if you're using these reinforcement stickers, just so that the sizes correspond. So then you just continue as such, and then you're basically done. And then you can just add some string and use it to price your clothing. So they're easy to write on, and it's great. And you can always add, if you have like a stamp, you could stamp on the back if you want to add a cool detail. So looks great in white. This is an ivory color. I get all my paper from the paper mill, and I'll make sure to add a link to them as well. Great. So once you've hole punched the tags, and if you wanted to add the reinforcement, then the next step is just to cut out some string. 25 or 27 centimeters is a nice length, and then you just string it through and then make a regular old knot, and then you're done. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and hope that you make good use of these tags. It's a great way to make affordable, quick tags for your clothing or accessory line. And make sure to visit my Etsy store for the templates, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.